So today Nvidia launched another RTX 50 series GPU, and this one is the entry-level 50 class card known as the GeForce RTX 5050. This is the 7th GPU in the lineup, and unlike what previous reports indicated, Nvidia changed the plans for its launch at the last minute. While the retail launch date is almost unchanged, Nvidia quietly unveiled it today alongside its laptop variant. However, the laptop variant is officially launched for retail, which means laptop makers can sell their RTX 5050 laptop models starting from today, but the desktop variant will be released in the second half of July. Now, if you take a look at Nvidia's website, you will find a dedicated page for the RTX 5050 where you can see all of its specs and stuff, but Nvidia hasn't yet revealed its performance numbers. It will likely do so a day before retail launch, but we can guess where the RTX 5050 stands in the GPU hierarchy if we compare its specs with its direct competitors. For instance, the RTX 5050 retains the shader count of its predecessors and brings 2560 CUDA cores, but now with an improved Blackwell architecture. It will use the GB207 die and will feature 8GB of VRAM capacity. The thing is that both laptop and desktop variants don't have the same memory type, which is weird, and surprisingly, it's the desktop one which got downgraded. Unlike the RTX 50 series GPUs, it's the only one to bring the GDDR6 memory, which is noticeably slower than the GDDR7. But for the laptop variant, Nvidia still chose the GDDR7, which raises the question why Nvidia went with the slower GDDR6 on the desktop variant. This looks like a deliberate decision to cut the production costs and increase the overall profit. Now, there is definitely some difference between the GDDR6 memory on the RTX 5050 and its predecessors like the RTX 3050 and 4050. The RTX 3050 uses a slower 14 gigabits per second memory, and the RTX 4050 uses somewhat faster one with memory speed of 18 gigabits per second. The RTX 5050 improves it further and its memory runs at 20 gigabits per second. This should provide some gains, but it won't likely be noticeable if we ignore the generational uplift of the GB207 GPU. The RTX 5050 laptop edition, on the other hand, will feature 28 gigabits per second GDDR7 memory, which means the laptop variant is theoretically faster. However, there is difference in the power limits of both, since the laptop variant is rated at 115 watts and the desktop card can run at 130 watts, with premium editions consuming even more power. Despite that, the downgrade to GDDR6 memory is one of the worst things Nvidia could do, and it no longer feels like an RTX 50 series GPU at all. This is particularly true when you check the generational uplift of the Blackwell cards, as the Blackwell architecture hardly improves the IPC performance over the RTX 40 GPUs. Computerbase showed how technically both Ada Lovelace and Blackwell architectures are identical in performance, and the only way Nvidia was able to improve the performance of RTX 50 GPUs was to equip them with faster VRAM, newer Tensor cores, RT cores, and stuff like that. Since the RTX 5050 is hardly an upgrade over the RTX 4050, it isn't likely going to match the performance of the RTX 4060. Now, even though Nvidia hasn't released any benchmark numbers for the GPU, and even if it did, it would have been super misleading because we all know how the RTX 4090 and RTX 5070 comparison went.
RTX 5070, 4090 performance at 549.
We do have a few synthetic benchmarks of the laptop RTX 5050, and as you can see, one Chinese media outlet published some 3D mark numbers of the RTX 5050 and compared it to the 5060 and 5070 laptop GPUs. The RTX 5050 doesn't look in a very good position here, as it is around 20% slower than the RTX 5060. Even compared to the RTX 4050 laptop GPU, the RTX 5050 is just 10% faster in time spy. However, the Port Royal score is greatly improved over the RTX 4050, and we are seeing a good 27% uplift. Still, keep in mind that these are synthetic benchmarks and it may not translate similarly in games. Now, the problem here isn't just the performance but its pricing. We all know that Nvidia tries to take advantage of the GPU market, and once again we see a high price tag of $249 for the RTX 5050. Now, the question is, why would someone buy the RTX 5050 when we already have faster 8GB GPUs like the RX 7600 and the RTX 4060 for less than $300. Even the Arc P580, which is even faster than both of these GPUs, is available for less than $300 and comes with more VRAM. The $249 price tag doesn't make sense at all, and it is definitely a sub $200 GPU, considering it is significantly inferior in specifications compared to the RTX 5060, which is available for $300. Now the worst thing will be custom OC editions, which AIBs will try to sell for nearly $300. Remember that it's not just AIB's fault, because they aren't able to profit a lot from these cards, as they spend nearly 80% of the total production cost on the GPU and VRAM alone. So I expect the RTX 5050 to sit idle on the shelves just as the RTX 3050 did, especially when you can buy significantly superior GPUs for $300 or less. I hope users will keep away from the RTX 5050 unless Nvidia decides to cut its price by $50. In case the RTX 5050 doesn't go below $250, one should simply skip it in favor of RTX 5060 or even the RX 7600 XT. So those were my thoughts on the GPU, but I want to know your thoughts on this as well. Do let me know in the comments what you think about the GPU and its price tag. Also, if you're new here, then consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I will see you in the next one.